LINC Works Project, PBLA in LINC Works, Part 1, Overview. PBLA is used in the LINC Works project to measure learners' abilities in listening, speaking, reading, and writing according to the CLB National Standard. The assessments in LINC Works are designed to be offered at the end of a pre-made series of skill-building lessons included with each module. The lessons teach the learners the knowledge and skills needed to be successful in the real-world tasks in the modules, with the different module tasks integrated throughout the lessons. For example, a lesson skill building toward a listening task might also support learning and practice of the speaking task for the module. Or a handout for a reading task might build background knowledge for a listening or writing activity. The module summary tables at the beginning of each lesson plan provide information on which lessons and activities support which of the PBLA tasks. Teachers can consult the module summary tables to choose lessons if all the materials provided in the module will not be used. Teachers using assessments in LINC Works should remember that PBLA should not be treated as a standardized test. Teachers should not be teaching to the assessment, nor should teachers be using the assessments in LINC Works at the end of other modules on employment without first ensuring that all the criteria and components of the assessment tasks have been covered during skill building. Instead, as with all assessments in PBLA, teachers should be teaching to the real-world task, with the assessment used to measure the learner's abilities to complete the real-world task at the targeted CLB level. To this end, for every LINC Works module, it is important for teachers to look at the assessment tasks before beginning skill building. Teachers need to become familiar with the criteria being assessed, as well as the particular components of the assessments, such as comprehension question types, so that these can be taken into account during teaching. Let's look at some parts of LINC Works assessments that are common to both productive and receptive tasks. At the top of each assessment are icons for the CLB competencies and essential skills in the assessment, as well as the CLB level, the language skill area, and the name of the task. Each assessment task starts with task instructions. For most tasks, instructions are to the learner directly. Teachers should go over the instructions with the learners before starting the assessment and answer any questions the learners have. The learner should not struggle in understanding the instructions while doing the assessment. Recommended times are given for each PBLA task in the lesson plan, but teachers will need to make the final decision of how much time is given for each assessment task. One way to decide is to time the learners when doing a similar skill-using task and see how long it takes the majority of them to finish. Learners should not feel rushed during an assessment. The point is to measure their ability to complete the task, not to see how fast they can answer questions or write an email. After the instructions to learners, and a text if applicable, is the section for learners to respond, either to comprehension questions in listening and reading tasks, or to a speaking or writing prompt. The learners' responses will be explored in detail in parts 2 and 3 of PBLA in LINC Works on productive and receptive tasks. At the top of the feedback section, the title and task are repeated, followed by the CLB competency area and competency statement covered in the assessment, as well as the essential skills for the task. Next are the assessment tools for the task. For each task, there is a PBLA assessment tool and, depending on the nature of the task, 1 to 3 essential skills assessment boxes. The assessment tool contains the CLB indicators of ability being checked for, written in learner-friendly language. The analytic criteria check for the indicators of ability for the task and CLB level. Indicators are drawn from the competency area, profile of ability, and Knowledge and Strategy sections of the CLB 2012 National Standard Resource. Criteria that are key for success in the real world and to demonstrate the level are starred. Criteria for the task that are not starred are components of the task that could be missed by the learner without unduly impacting success in the real world or demonstration of the target CLB level. Learners should be made aware of the CLB criteria for each task during skill building, and again before the assessment task is attempted. At the bottom of the assessment tool, the measure of success is clearly stated. A space for the teacher to write comments and action-oriented feedback is provided. The CLBs match 4 of the essential skills, namely oral communication, reading, document use, and writing. If there are other essential skills being assessed, tools to assess them, with statements describing the criteria for success, will come next. Additional essential skills assessments open up the possibility for learners to achieve success in multiple areas. Common additional essential skills assessment areas include computer use, problem solving within the thinking skill, and numeracy. These elements are and should be separate from the evaluation of the PBLA task, as the criteria for success on these elements are out of the scope of the Canadian language benchmarks. One important essential skill included on all PBLA tasks is the evaluation of the level to which learners can do the task on their own. In these evaluations, clarifying questions are allowed, but not an in-depth repeat of the concepts in the assessment or the process of completing the assessment. Self-assessment and reflection are important components of PBLA. Following the PBLA and essential skills assessment tools is a self-assessment on the CLB criteria and a learning reflection. These should be completed by the learners immediately after the assessment. An additional learning reflection, which includes another essential skills assessment of continuous learning, is to be completed when the assessment is returned. This essential skills assessment focuses on the learner's ability to assess and write about their goals for learning. There are 4 parts to this PBLA and LINC Works Information for Teachers series. This has been Part 1. Part 2 of PBLA and LINC Works looks at productive assessments in the LINC Works project. Part 3 looks at receptive assessments. And finally, Part 4 looks at modifying materials in the LINC Works project to meet learners' needs. Teachers should view all 4 parts of PBLA and LINC Works to understand how to use and modify the LINC Works PBLA material with their classes. End of Part 1.